Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining me and my very special guests. They are one of Broadway's favorite couples, and you know them individually from such shows as Jersey Boys, Frozen, Anything Goes, Xanadu, Violet, and Wicked, and together from the television series Chicago Med. And this coming Sunday night, November 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, they kick off their brand new concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. Please say hello to my dear friends, Patti Murin and Colin Donnell.
Hi!
So I love it. First, I'm going to ask you, where are you and how are you?
We are in our dining room at our house, just north of the city, and we're good.
We're good. We live in a zoo. Literally, if I keep looking this way, it's because our baby is sitting there in her little bouncy seat, and I'm just making sure one of the dogs isn't like excessively licking her face. So,
or gonna unplug everything, like just happened like 3 seconds before we went live.
Yeah, it's very exciting here.
Well, like I said, if they disconnect, just join us again.
Okay.
Like I said, before we went on, everyone's doing the same thing. It's such a wild time right now because, your new parents, she's beautiful. Cecily is so beautiful.
Thank you.
What are your dogs' names, too?
Our dogs are Milo and Petey.
Mm-hmm.
They are both rescues. I think we got Milo actually while I was doing Violet.
Right, and I was doing Fly By Night at Playwrights Horizons.
Yeah, and I remember they actually did, I think the New York Times, because both, Sutton and Josh and I, and us, we all got puppies at the same time.
Yeah.
And they basically lived backstage at the American Airlines Theater, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
You come off stage, play with a puppy, go back on stage.
Oh no.
Did we lose you? Oh no. Oh no.
Well,
hey guys.
Oh, it's just us. We've taken over the broadcast.
You're back. What's that?
So we're taking over your broadcast.
We lost you for a second.
Listen, this is what happens. This is the new now. I've had everybody who's done this series and just talked to stars all around the world, and they're like, Richard, this is a whole new world for us of trying to figure out the internet and everything else.
Yes.
It's just bonkers. All of a sudden we're thrown into being engineers and designers and lighting experts, and I'm like, there's people who are much, much better at this than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody said as soon as we go back to work again, they said, I'm going to kiss the hand of everybody who works backstage. Everybody.
Yes, 1,000%. Oh, yeah.
I would bow down to every designer that is out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say, I'm like, we're the last piece of the puzzle. Like, nobody realizes that. You know what I mean? That they're doing all the really hard work, and then they're like, and here are actors.
We'll put them in at the last minute.
Yeah.
What has this time been like for both of you? I've been asking everybody around the country and around the world who have kids and everything else. There's like pluses and minuses to all of this stuff. Your daughter's how old now? Is she 4 months?
She's just over 4 months old now. Yeah. It's been wild. We entered a whole new phase of our lives in the midst of having to stay at home during all of this. And on the one hand, it's been sort of mind-blowingly, you watch the news and you get overwhelmed by everything. But I think there's something about having this time to just be with her and just be a parent and not figuring out how to be a parent and not having to rush off to work or not having to think about maybe leaving town or anything, and one of us being left alone to deal with it. We get to go through all of this together, which is, pretty amazing.
Yeah, because my boss, Rob Diamond, and his wife, Jennifer, they just had their beautiful daughter, Leia.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeremy, Jordan, and Ashley, they have theirs. And everyone is sort of like, it's what's getting them through this time, too. It's like when you think things are maybe not going right for a second with business or whatever, all of a sudden you look down at this beautiful creature, this beautiful thing that you created, and the world just changes.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing because, we talk about how 2020 has been such a dumpster fire of a year. But then it's like, we just can't ignore the fact, that this is when she was born, and we went through our things with her. We sort of, a few weeks ago, we told everyone that she actually was born with a hole in her heart. So she had open heart surgery at 10 weeks old. And so that was sort of the version of like the 2020 part of her being born, is that we had to, the first 3 months of her life were just completely all about, figuring that out and planning that and getting through that emotionally and whatnot. And And it's, again, if we had been working, auditioning, even doing like events outside of our own home, we just wouldn't have had the energy, or the, like we would have had to really like gather, I think, a lot more strength. And we just, we had a lot saved up from not doing a lot, and being able to just direct it all at her and at that.
Once you have a child, aren't you looking at life in a totally different way now, like everything about life?
Yeah.
Patti actually just said that this morning. It was, people tell you that, and you think you're prepared, and then it happens, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this is why I'm here now, and it's all for her, and she's, I don't know, she's perfect. She's awesome.
Yeah, it makes me appreciate my own parents, especially my mom, just like having gone through everything. And I had a thought when she was first born in the hospital, and I was like, we're the first people that are going to look at you and think you're the most perfect thing that's ever existed, And that just, I don't know, it makes me very emotional.
Yeah. No, well, it should. I mean, this is what it's all about. I mean, and everyone's looking at everything in totally different ways. And like Rob and Jennifer, they had the same thing. She was born during, the lockdown and everything else, and having a quarantine and do all this stuff. It's, it just adds that extra stress, but you're like, this is our life. This is how we're going to do this. And somehow you get through it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's all stories in the bank for later, really. It's there will come a time when later
she's
on
laughing at us right now.
she won't hear the end of it. Honestly, we'll be like, you were born in this year, and let me tell you.
Yeah, it's gonna be like our version of like, I walked uphill to school 5 miles each way in the snow. It's gonna be like, we went through a pandemic, and
Mom wore a mask for all of her labor when you were born. You can eat your vegetables.
Exactly.
I love that. That's a great way to put it all into perspective.
Mm-hmm. Right, Bubba?
Oh, I just hear her off what is she, in the rocking horse now?
Yeah, she's in her little baby Bjorn, just rocking. I think Patty's got her foot on it.
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's bouncing.
That's how you do it. It's like multitasking. It's like mommy and dad multitasking through all of this.
The only thing missing is making a cocktail.
Totally.
That's for later.
Well, that's at 5 o'clock, right?
That's right.
Well, listen, this coming Sunday night, November 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will be kicking off your concert with Seth Rudetsky. You'll be live with a one-time only rebroadcast on Monday, November 30th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing your virtual concert as part of his series. How excited are you two?
Very excited, and also very kind of nervous. It's just been, when you're like out of the game for a while, you go from doing a show 8 times a week to not singing for like months, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh goodness, oh my god, did I? And it happens every time, when you're between jobs and stuff, that you're like, and you forget that your voice is a muscle, and you just have to like, get it back in shape a little bit. And so I'm very grateful that we're the general. I love that the themes of his concert are like sort of a retrospective of your career, because it's all stuff that we have sang and we know, and like it makes it a lot more fun, and it honestly takes a bit more of the pressure off. It's not like I have to learn this new song and like how do I how do I sing that note? And so so we just love Seth. He's just done so much in the last 8 months with James. Like, they're just phenomenal, and so it's really exciting for us to be able to be a part of this concert series with them.
Had you done a concert with Seth before, either of you?
No.
Nope.
No. I trying to remember if I've ever sang with him at all.
I sang on his podcast. I went on his podcast
and
and whatnot, but that's it. That's all. This is our the first time.
And they've somehow they've figured out how to do it all remotely, which just kind of blows my mind. The fact that he can be in one place playing piano and we can be in another singing and have it be seamless. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. It's just amazing to me. I mean, the way that people have figured out how to, adapt to still be able to do things like this and concerts and readings, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the ingenuity is fascinating, and it's fantastic.
Oh, get ready. You're going to have the time of your life with him, because it's, you never know what he's going to throw at you. It's like, oh, You did this show
Exactly.
when you were in high school, and then,
Yeah.
sing a little bit of this, or Colin, you did this or whatever. It's really, really wonderful. What are some of the songs? What can fans expect? I mean, what's coming out of the trunk?
I'm going to revisit some Anything Goes, which is awesome for me. It's been years and years since I've sang that stuff, so it's going to be fun to do that. I'm also I'm gonna debut a new song that Brian Yusufer and I wrote, the other member of my band, the 1920. We're gonna debut a new song on Sunday, and we're gonna do a few duets.
Yes, we're gonna do. Obviously he did Songs for a New World at City Center a year and a half ago, but I did it in college, so. We're going to sing "I'd Give It All for You" from that, as a duet, and yeah, I mean, some Wicked, I'm sure. We got to bust out the popular, and obviously a sensible Frozen tune is always fun to sing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
The
sure.
rest is all a surprise.
Mainly because we're like, should we sing that one or that one? I don't know. Let's see how we feel.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, what part of your house have you turned into a stage or a studio?
We have this beautiful limestone wall in our home. That's basically our fireplace. And so we've currently the mantle has a toy horse and a couple of empty bottles on it. So I think we're going to decorate it and try to figure out. We've got some lighting, the same lighting that we're using right now. We're going to try our best to make it not look like we're in like a 4x4 cell like we do right now. We want like the Skype room rater to rate us a 10 by the time it's done.
Yeah, this is like a 5.
Everybody has done these things. It's like they said, Richard, don't look to the left and don't look to the right because it's all hoarders. Or it's just like, our house is full of baby stuff or whatever else. This is the area I can set up for my little show stage.
Truly, it's really, that's the key, I think, is that it's just like it's just a slice of your home, and everyone's just going to assume the rest looks like that as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had to do self-tapes at home? Have you done any of those?
Yeah, you're
Oh
looking at
the
the
self-tape
wall.
wall. Actually, this is our setup, slightly lowered lights. That's basically it.
Yeah, that's always interesting. Especially in the first few months with her when, we just didn't know when she was going to be sleeping. So there's a lot of self-tapes that I'd be holding her and reading with him, but like then you'd hear like on the tape you hear just like a little like gurgle, and you're like, you know what? That's fine. Let's just send that one. It's totally fine.
I love that. What everyone sort of freaked at is when they ask you for the body shot and you have to pull the camera all the way back and you're like, you're going to see our whole entire, like just our whole setup, the dogs, the baby stuff,
Everything.
I mean, whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna. It's
Not to
definitely
mention-
pulling back the curtain.
Not to mention my pandemic body,
You look fabulous, but everyone's concerned about these pandemic bodies. Like,
Oh, Lord.
what is your go-to stuff? What are your go-to snacks like during this? Or like parents have even better snacks. They're like, oh my God, she's asleep now. Let's open a bag of like, Pepperidge Farm cookies. Or what are your go-to snacks?
Well, I have to confess, we have an entire cabinet in our kitchen island that is full of candy.
Full. All kinds.
Literally, it's like 4 shelves full of candy.
Yeah.
At one time, we organized it into chocolate and straight sugar, but it's all just a jumbled mess at this point.
Yeah. Baked Cheetos.
Baked Cheetos.
They're really sort of the backbone of our existence at this point.
And little like mini cans of Diet Coke.
Yeah. The 7-ounces. Because, the 12 ounce, it's just too much. So you just need a shot of caffeine. Go with the 7-ounce. Yeah.
And a bowl full of baked Cheetos.
Bowl full. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. But wash your hands before you touch the baby, because
That's right.
made that mistake.
That stuff never comes off though, does it? I have no idea what kind of that cheese they use on. I love Cheetos or whatever, but it never comes off your hands.
It's all natural, Richie.
Definitely.
It's
And they're baked, so it's diet food.
yes.
I love it. So I'm sure there's no, like, every day is different for both of you with her. I'm sure that, are there different hours? I mean, or is she on a schedule now, or how does that all work?
She's on a schedule-ish.
We're getting there.
We've split up the duties pretty well. I'm I wake up very early with her. Patti has been waking up in the middle of the night, so I thank her for that because it lets me get a little bit of sleep.
Yeah, but then he wakes up at like 6 o'clock with her, and I'm like, bye.
Yeah, anywhere between like 4:30 and 6 is usually wake up time, and by that point, I'm just up. So, which is kind of awesome because I like mornings, so I can wake up and work out and do all the things after I feed her, and the two of them can go back to sleep and sleep for as long as they can.
Yeah.
And it's made things good because I get my mornings and I get to, finish some stuff before the day begins.
I love that. One of the positives during this pandemic has been, especially with doing these virtual concerts, you have fans all around the world. And the nice thing is everybody can just purchase a ticket and watch you all at the same time. People who normally couldn't fly across the country to see you in New York somewhere, or, fans of yours from whatever, from your TV shows or films that you've both done. That must make you feel really great that when you do this, just everybody can watch you wherever they're watching you from all at the same time.
It's definitely one of the things that, is sort of the silver linings of this pandemic, because I know I have, and a lot of fellow actors have started doing a lot of coaching and like meet and greets or like virtual events online. And, it's like coaching's for people who you wouldn't normally get to do that with because they live in California or Massachusetts or, and so it's really sort of that all of this has really helped to kind of keep the spirit of theater alive, and also for a lot of us to actually feel like we're connecting with the theater lovers out there and the people who support us, because at most you get 20 seconds at a stage door. If they run into you on the subway, you get like a minute or two, but like this actually feels especially from your own home too, because it also, that is a level of like comfort that I feel like they don't normally get to see from us, because we're usually like, okay, well, I'm gonna put on this concert and I'm gonna like do my hair and I picked out this dress and like I'm probably not gonna be wearing shoes on Sunday. Like, let's be totally honest, like there's just no reason for it. I'm
gonna be in a full tux though. I just figured I would like any excuse to dress up.
So I'm gonna ask you, have you chosen your outfits yet?
No, we haven't.
I have some options. I'm really playing with just costume changes, because if I find more than one thing that looks cute, I'm gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna change my clothes every time I sing a new song. But it's, again, it's the post-baby pandemic body. We're really I'm just trying to figure out where everything is now.
I'm trying to figure out what clothes I have here. It's mostly, I've been living in sweatshirts and sweatpants and t-shirts for so long. The fact that I could find this shirt
these
today,
are called those are hard pants.
Real pants.
We're wearing hard pants today for you guys. So, and you can't even see them, but like it just feels better.
Just we both have pants on.
We do, yes, yeah. He just can't lift his leg up that high.
No, I'm not gonna try.
No, but it's the same thing like me. I still wear a nice pair of good pants and I put a nice shirt on. I just feel like I want to get into like, my work mode. It's so interesting during this time period. But I talk to these stars like, Richie, I have slippers on, or I've got a nice blouse on the top and I'm wearing my sweatpants on the bottom.
Yeah, it's true. We're just living our truth. It's like those, the times that I do like events and I'm like, why do we have to wear heels? Like, why? Who invented that? Now I'm like, we don't anymore. No one can see.
You should just hold them up saying, I normally would have worn these heels if I was on stage, but you'll put them on a little thing on Sunday night or
That's
whatever.
actually a really great idea.
It's like the full body shot for the audition. It's like, how did you grow 3 inches over? It's like, well, I'm this tall, but with these.
Yeah, how tall are you? I am as tall as you want me to be.
That's right.
But you can do that. You can do like the Cher show, Patti. You can put Colin on, and now here's my husband to sing for you, and you go off and just change into something else. I think that.
I feel like
everyone. Yeah, good.
After like 8 months of not wearing anything like really cute in general, I feel like I should just bust out as much as I can. You know what I mean? Why not? Why not?
I think you should, Colin. If you could find a tuxedo or something that looks like a tuxedo or something that looks like a suit.
I need to buy one of those tuxedo shirts. Or like a tuxedo onesie, maybe.
Oh, I like that.
If there's a tuxedo onesie out there, will
feeling
somebody please send it to me?
I have a feeling that exists, right?
Yeah, it's got to.
Yeah.
One of your fans walking around the world, send him an outfit for Sunday. I also love this. What I love about your concert too is not only, everything is so affordable. The tickets are only $28.50, but you're also offering a very special VIP sound check at 5 o'clock, which I think is really cool too, which means I think you sort of have to be, I don't know, maybe it's your pre-costume you're going to have on, Patti, or whatever else, or your rehearsal warm-up stuff or whatever else. That's got to make you feel great too, to like show the fans sort of the behind the scenes of how this all happens.
Oh yeah, and it's so lucky because 5 o'clock also happens to be Cecily's witching hour, so there's sure to be some baby situations
Doing
happening
something.
there too. I just picture like singing Popular with just like her in my arm, being like, "This is it. That's how we're doing this right now." Hopefully, she'll be sleeping throughout the concert, but I mean, you never know. Between the dogs and her, it's like so. At 5 o'clock, it should be a real look inside our circus over here.
No, but everybody loves that because everyone who's doing this, someone says they just sit in a chair. Some people turn their foyer. Some people have like turn their living room into something. I mean, everyone's done something totally different. But the great thing about my show that I have everybody on, it just lets the fans know that you're all going through the same things that they are.
Oh yeah. It's the exact same things. Like we still have to wake up every day and sort of like check how we feel and like, is this going to be like an okay day? How am I starting out this day? It's all, we're in our homes and we've been in our homes for months now, and some days that feels nice and comforting, and some days you want to just run outside as far as you can go just to find some new scenery. Yeah, it is. We're all in this together but separately.
Doesn't it feel like it started like last week, and then sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, it's almost Christmas or Hanukkah or something? I mean, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Time is a very fluid notion at the moment.
Oh man, it's like March took forever, and then April took forever, and then the summer just happened in 5 seconds. And then there was 1 week in October, the first week of October, which took 7 years.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like 3 years later.
Yeah, it's a whole warped perception of everything, of time, the way it passes or whatever else.
Yep. And then daylight savings kicked in and we were like, wait,
why is it dark at 3:30 in the afternoon?
Literally not fair.
That's just true. I never liked daylight savings time anyway. And I was like, now it's even worse. It's like at 3:30, I'm like, let's have dinner and let's get ready for bed. And I'm like, oh, it's 4:30.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Same.
Go to bed.
That's the same. Same with us. Yep. It's just like, it's like the year was like, oh, you think you're depressed? Here's some daylight savings time for you. Cool.
But Colin, you also recorded an album during this at home, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I have a band now. It's called the 1920. It's me and Brian Yusufer, who is a music director on Broadway and arranger and orchestrator and everything. And so at the beginning of all of this in March, after I posted an Instagram of one of my songs, he and I had a conversation before about maybe writing some music together. And so after that, he sent me a text and said, hey, man, why don't we do this? And we figured it out. We wrote and recorded and mixed and mastered the entire album all remotely. We hadn't actually seen each other since February, and we didn't see each other until about a month ago. But we would meet on Zoom. We would meet on the computer a couple times a week and write together and produce together. And I'm really proud of it. It released on in the last week of September, and it's been out there and people seem to like it. And we've got some new music coming people's way soon. It was a wild experience, and what a time to start a new band. Because you can't play out yet, but it's been a really sort of it's been a lifesaver. It's been a way to stay creative and to feel like we're accomplishing.
Yes, she has things
Cecily
to say.
really likes the music.
She does. She really does.
Yeah, she does.
And then actually, Colin and I are going to be recording an album together for Broadway Records with Robbie Rozelle.
Yes.
Yeah, which was sort of just decided last week. And so we're kind of now we're aiming for a Valentine's Day release, and we're kind of picking all the songs, and it's very exciting. So he's literally going to have released 2 albums within 1 year.
That is so exciting. Like I said, so you're not only in your home, you turned it into a recording studio also.
We did. I've been recording a lot of audiobooks as well. And so that's like my newfound thing that I'm like, I love doing this and I will do this forever. So it just was smart to invest in like the good sound equipment and whatnot. Because even after things go back to whatever normal is going to look like, there's still going to be lots of times as actors that we're going to be doing other things and not be working. And it's, it's just nice to have that in our own home.
Yeah, to have the capability to do these sorts of things at home and just at the drop of a hat. Like, I would love to go into a studio and record some music, but to be able to, do it the way that Brian and I have done, and, to be able to record an entire album with Patti, in a remote location.
Crazy.
And have it sound great is, a real gift.
So where can fans find your album right now, Colin?
You can find it wherever you stream your music. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Music. Go find us on bandcamp.com. If you just search the 1920, you will find our music for purchase or streaming.
Well, like I said, I've already downloaded it all, so I love it. So I play it in my house all the time, too. And I'm thrilled about this new album on Broadway Records. I know you just decided all of this. So a Valentine's release. I mean, this is going to get you through the holiday season and everything else of raising your beautiful daughter and creating music in your home.
Yeah, it really is. It's that whole thing about like keeping the passion alive and the love alive while we kind of wait for things to figure themselves out, and it just feels really good to be able to generate your own work and whatnot, and kind of do stuff for yourself, because it's something that you're encouraged to do, but now we were kind of all forced to do it. And I think in our cases, I think it's going to be, we're going to look back on the year and we're not going to be like, oh, that was a waste. We've done some really, really incredible things.
Oh, I can't wait for Valentine's Day. Do you sing her to sleep? She must love your voices.
Yes, I realized the other day that I hadn't sung to her in a while, because the thing is that she's at that age where everything that is like new or like sounds, she's just like it doesn't put her to sleep at the moment. She just wants to like look and like hear. She's like, oh, hello. But the other day I started singing to her, and she literally looked at me like, and I was like, oh, she thinks I'm a good singer. Like it was a sound she hadn't heard in a while, or I haven't sang to her while she has actually had like the like cognizance to like, to know what that was. And so that was a pretty cool moment where she was just like, oh. And I was like, oh, my baby.
Yeah.
Because I've had stars on here too. They're like, I can't sing for my child. They hate it.
Oh. I am afraid that she's going to grow up and be like, Frozen. Absolutely not. Everyone's like, she's going to be so loud. I'm like, I don't know. She's probably not going to be very impressed by it at all.
My mom was a Disney princess. I get it.
I know, right?
Oh, wait until that hits. She's going to love that. Oh, my God, my mommy's a Disney princess. I mean, she'll be dressing up like both of you.
She'll be like, she's just my mom.
Totally.
Yeah,
well, Again, the Seth Concert Series is produced by Mark Cortali and is sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World events and at SethConcerts.com. Tickets are only $28.50, and there's a special VIP sound check package available too. So go check that out. I know where I'm going to be Sunday night. I have some questions for you. When you were both starting out, was there a defining moment for each of you when you said, I want to be a performer and try to make a living at this?
I mean, I grew up going to see Broadway and whatnot, and I think the first moment that really sort of stood out to me as like, oh, I can do this, was when I saw The Secret Garden on Broadway. I think I was 11, and I loved shows. I loved show tunes. I had seen a bunch of shows at that point, but that was the first time that I saw Daisy Egan, and I was like, oh, she's my age. And I had just been in my first show, and I was like, so that's the moment when I remember, I don't know if I was like old enough to be like, I'm going to make a living at this, but I was like, I want to be on stage. So then when I did Frozen, it was actually really sort of a moment for me, because The Secret Garden was in the St. James Theater, and that's where Frozen was. And so it was very like, it felt very, very full circle, like dream come true. That's probably the moment that I can remember.
I don't really know. I suppose it was in college. I sort of was going along thinking maybe this was kind of cool and maybe I can figure this out some way. And if anything else will draw my attention, I'll go with that because it'll be less heartbreaking. But I think, moving to New York was a big confidence boost, and I got really lucky very early on in my career, and I started working right away. And there was, I think, the moment where I felt like I was on the right path was really with Anything Goes.
Yeah.
And by that point, I'd worked at the Irish Rep, I'd been on tour, but it really felt like I was sort of coming into my own with Anything Goes, and I was like, okay, this is. I think this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't think this is just a maybe this will work type of thing.
Well, you both have incredible careers on stage, screen, and TV. I'm going to mention a few highlights, and just tell me what comes to mind, a fun story or a great memory, okay? Okay, Broadway debuts are really special. Like, this spring, so many people were supposed to make their Broadway debut, and then the pandemic came, and I'm hoping that when Broadway comes back, hopefully bigger and better than ever, they'll have that opportunity when these shows come back. They only happen once. Patti, I'm going to start with yours. Yours was Xanadu.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I mean, what a great show at the Helen Hayes Theater. I was obsessed with Xanadu because it was one of my favorite movies. And then when this was put on stage, I was like, wow, they did this right. Yeah. What are your favorite memories of your debut in Xanadu?
Gosh, I was a swing for the first 6 months. And so that makes for an interesting debut because you don't know when it's going to happen. and also like the beginning of that show, that was pretty rough. We had a lot of injuries before we opened the show. And so I made my debut because one of my dear friends, Kenita Miller, she actually got hurt, which, that's why I think I never really loved being a swing or because I didn't love celebrating when someone else was, I would have much preferred that she had gone on vacation and I had gone on for her. But the moment I remember most from my Broadway debut is because obviously everyone, is on roller skates and everyone's on roller skates in the last number. So you get through the whole show, which is terrifying. And you're just like, I think I just did that. And then I remember standing in the wings on roller skates being like, I cannot believe I'm about to go out and roller skate on a stage. And I could remember my legs shaking. And I just got through it. I don't think I did anything, but I just kind of skated there and skated there and skated, because that's not go out and belt a tune. It's go out on wheels with 9 other people. So that is the moment that I remember being oh. And I also remember not being comfortable with the ramps at that point. So when I went to take my bow, they let me come from the side of the stage instead of coming down the ramp because I was like, I refused to fall on my butt for the last moment of my Broadway debut. So yeah, so that was that was the skating got so much more comfortable after that. But I will never forget that first moment, just being like, what am I doing?
Because the Helen Hayes is a small stage, and the way they had that rate, and I was like, how do they roller skate on that? And not roller skate into the first row or just, whatever. Totally.
I mean, yeah, it was for real. There was a lot of walls around that you could cling on, at least. So if worse comes to worse, it's I'm just going to chill here with this audience member because we had the onstage audience.
Yeah.
So you also had people on the stage that were not in the show that you could also possibly harm.
Totally, you're right. Colin, talk about your debut on Broadway.
It was Jersey Boys.
Yeah.
And so it was, it was wild. It was stepping into this ginormous hit show. And I just remember, I think I was the 3rd person to join the Broadway company that wasn't in the original. And I mean, it was incredible. I shared a dressing room with these 2 wonderful gentlemen, Mark and Peter, and they took me under their wings, and they were everybody was so happy. It was such a joyous company, and it was such a warm environment, and the audiences. I just remember taking a bow after the first show and thinking, "Holy bleep." This is just amazing. This is you're looking out at a packed August Wilson Theater, all on its feet and all enjoying what you're doing. It was sort of mind blowing.
Because you grew into different roles during Jersey Boys, right?
Well, I actually always stayed in my ensemble track, but I got to go on a lot for my cover roles. And
Was Nick Massey first? Was he one of your first? Then Bob Gaudio?
Nick Massey was first, and then Bob Gaudio was a second cover, and I think I went on for Bob. I actually can't remember. But I went on for Nick a lot because, it was just, the timing worked out well for me to go on for Nick, and I ended up leaving that show after about 7 or 8 months. But it was just a magical time.
Yeah. Well, both of those were, because Xanadu was a Broadway rock concert too, and so was Jersey Boys. So it was sort of that same feel for both of you. How life-changing was Love's Labor's Lost, Shakespeare in the Park, for both of you?
Oh, I mean, personally, terribly life-changing, just like the most life-changing, just the most like faded. We call it the summer of love still, because it was also just like, it was like summer camp, that company was so much fun. And that show was so clever and wonderful. And of course, Michael Friedman and Alex Timbers, we just had so much fun, and we were just outside in a heat wave, teching. Our shoes were literally melting onto the stage, and like it was, it was just like the most joyous. I think it was I would probably say that was the best summer of my life for sure.
Cecily agrees.
She agrees, yes, because that is essentially how you came to be eventually.
Yeah.
Did you fall in love right away during rehearsals? I mean, how did this whole thing start, the show, man?
Not exactly.
We had been friends for years, for like 7 years before that. So actually, while she doesn't like this part of the story, while I was doing Xanadu and he was doing Jersey Boys, I got my parents' house seats to Jersey Boys through him. And I went, and I remember I met them afterwards, and we saw Colin outside, and afterwards my mom was like, he is so cute. And I was like, no, Mom, absolutely not. Because we just weren't, we didn't see each other that way at all. And then during the
You want to hold her? Do you want to lift her?
Rock her a little bit?
Come here, little bean. What are you doing?
Rock her a little bit.
What are you doing?
Hi, little bum.
And then during Love's Labor's
I've never heard
Lost,
this story. Yeah, she's like, I didn't hear this part of the story.
She's like, I didn't like that.
It's possible. Now she's smiling. See, she like during that we just sort of like, I don't know, we started hanging out, and I was like, yeah, we're just friends and whatever. And then
She definitely kissed me first. Let's
did.
just put that clear.
I may have had alcohol.
That's good. But it was. I mean, I very much was into Patti more quickly than. Oh, hi, Cecily.
Oh, look at this.
It's like.
Oh, and she has the hiccups, which she hates.
Yes. Hello. Hi,
Aw.
sweetheart.
Little bean.
She's like, who are they talking to? I want to be up here too, right?
She can't hear a thing. She's so confused.
Yeah.
So Patti kicked off this relationship, right?
Yes.
Yes, and then I quickly kind of fell hard.
Yeah.
And, it was... The whole experience of the show was amazing. It's so cool to have our album to go back to.
Oh.
Because it's such a reminder. It works on a lot of levels. It's a great reminder of the summer that we had, and the beginning of everything with us. And it's the ultimate love letter to Michael Friedman, who was so near and dear to us. And when he passed, it was devastating. And so I'm glad that we have that to remind us of his genius and the fun and friendship that we had.
That's terrific. What a beautiful story. God, I want to ask you about playing Lysistrata and Lysistrata Jones. I loved that show. I loved it downtown, but I loved it uptown.
Me too. Oh gosh, it was so fun. That was still probably the most heartbreaking thing that's ever happened to me in my whole career. The closing of that. Like I couldn't talk about it for like 6 months without like wanting to just actively cry. Because it was the first. I was the title character in a show that I loved so much, and we also had been through years of readings and out of town stuff, and then it was like the ultimate surprise that when we did downtown, that they wanted to bring it to Broadway, and it was like it was never even. I just thought we were finally going to get to do it in New York and be like, this is our show, great, and so like. We opened at the worst time in the world. It's just that's just the way it is. Sometimes you just can't. You get the theater when you get the theater. That's it. And so it was it was really hard, but like, man, that was just, I made, the friends from that show are just like, that's another one that you're like, we went through it together. Like, we were downtown. We had mice in our dressing room. Like, we named Mr. Bojangles was his name. You're literally sharing a bathroom, like they took one of the two public bathrooms and like made it for the cast. So you're literally sharing a bathroom with the boys. Like, they're doing their hair and you're like, I have to pee now. It was just, it's like, you don't get a lot closer than that. There was one, our stage right exit was just a hallway. It was a hallway, like, that you, like, opened a door and you were in, like, a stairwell hallway. And there was one, the night that Ben Brantley came to review the show, actually, Jason Tam and I were supposed to, we couldn't get the door open. We were, like, and he just, like, chucked himself at it and, like, got it open, like, but I was like, oh my God, we're going to be stuck in this hallway for the rest of our lives. And, like, that's going to be what Ben Brantley remembers from the show, is, like, that I had to stop because of a faulty doorknob.
I was there at that performance.
There's like a 5-second lag that felt like 30 years to us.
Of course.
And all of a sudden we just come like barreling out the door. We're like,
infamous.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't know. I mean, these things play in your mind like, oh my God, now who is this one?
Yeah.
This is Milo.
Yeah, that's Milo.
Milo, like, the family's all coming up here. I love this.
Oh, God.
I don't know where Petey went. Petey's probably hiding because he was the one that ran away and disconnected us, and so I think he probably feels bad.
Okay, I know you're
Petey will come back into this. Colin, I have to ask you about Anything Goes. I just had Laura Osnes on last week, and we were talking about Kathleen Marshall and that whole brilliant production, and she said it was like being in an MGM movie. I mean, did you have the same experience?
It really was. I mean, there was. I'll never. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget it. Mostly, it's the experience of rehearsing a Broadway show on a Broadway stage. Because we rehearsed it at Studio 54, and there was just magic from the very beginning, and Kathleen's choreography and whole sensibility about the whole show was so just brilliant and spot on, and the cast that came together for that show, and another just unbelievably talented performer, John McMartin, who's recently passed away. There was nobody, I don't think I've ever worked with anybody who could make me laugh harder or faster in front of an entire audience than John McMartin by doing nothing. Yeah. He would just put on some glasses, and all of a sudden I'd be rolling on the floor and have to turn away from an audience just because I couldn't keep it together. It really was, and Kathleen pushed Laura and I to really like do things dance-wise, especially me, do things dance-wise that I didn't think I was capable of, and it was incredibly eye-opening and so much fun to explore that side of myself as a performer.
Yeah, phenomenal. Visually, I still see it in my head of you dancing it right on an MGM stage, just so beautiful. I was like, boy, he can dance too.
Thank you.
Now, Patti, we have to ask you about living in that world of Wicked, that phenomenon. I mean, playing Glinda. I mean, favorite memory of doing that show. What's your favorite memory of doing Wicked?
Gosh, there's so many. I mean, like, I was so lucky to have two of the best alphabets, I think, in existence, Nicole Parker and Dee Rossioli, both of, whom had done it before, and, were basically experts at it. And so, like, they were just the most wonderful and the most, like, helpful. I just remember, I remember laughing with them so much. Getting stuck in the bubble, because sometimes the bubble gets stuck. And, that's sort of the Glinda thing, is that you're like, what do you do when the bubble doesn't, fully descend when the curtain goes down at the end of the show? Well, what happens is that stagehands come out with a ladder and they literally fireman rescue over their shoulder from the bubble. And so, and like, what happens if the bubble doesn't go back up at the end of the opening number? Well, Glinda comes downstage and everyone sort of crouches around her, like, like singing those last, like, Wicked, and you just button it with people. It's the strangest thing. But I think probably being up in the bubble at the beginning of every show, because you load in, you go up there and you're literally 30 feet in the air, and it's just like, you hear the opening number go on, and you're alone. You know what I mean? Like there's a fly man like over there, but like you are alone, and it's so weird. It's so weird, but in like the most awesome way.
I love that. I have to ask you about Violet too, Colin. Brilliant production. I mean, wow, what a cast you got to perform with. Oh,
Hi, Bean. What's the matter?
Do you want to take?
What's the
Or
matter?
just switch off for questions.
Yes.
okay.
Violet was incredible. I mean, being back again with Sutton was unbelievable. All right, sounds good.
Be right back.
All right. Mama's going.
Time to eat.
Time to eat. I totally get it. I totally get it. That was such a brilliant cast, and what a gorgeous production of that musical you got to do.
Yeah, Lee Silverman was just. I mean, she put together such a brilliant production, and I don't. Between the whole cast was absolutely phenomenal, but I mean, being on stage with Sutton and Josh at the same time, and the two of them they're just so engaging, and they're just effervescent and brilliant performers and actors. It was something else.
I love that you can multitask like this. I am so impressed. Mothers and fathers around the world will be watching and saying, oh my God, not only are they Broadway stars and everything else, you can just reconnect their earbuds and like feed their baby and talk about their fabulous shows that they've done. We have to get into Frozen because, I mean, Patti, I mean, not only, I mean, your daughter's going to know you as Frozen and as Glinda from Wicked. So you've got Frozen and Wicked on
Yes.
charts here.
Lots of princesses.
I mean, I got to talk to you a lot during this time period, and very early on too. I mean, to live in the world of Disney and to be a Disney princess, like, what does that mean?
That was, like I said, I grew up loving Broadway, but I also grew up loving Disney. And so I always kind of pictured, like, I always wanted to, like, voice an animated character, but I never really thought about, like, being a Disney princess on Broadway, And then when Frozen came around, it was like, oh, that's when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, I know that princess. That's a hot mess princess. That's me, And so when, a couple years later, when they started doing the auditions for it and whatnot, it was, it was a long process of casting. It was a year of not knowing whether I was doing it, but doing workshops and readings and stuff. And so it was, it was a lot. It was a lot of waiting. But like finally just getting that, like, the yes, you and Casey are going to be Anna and Elsa. It was like relief, relief was a huge thing, just because it was like, I'd given a year of my life to them, but like, directors changed, choreographers changed. It's their, it's their right to do the due diligence and make sure that they have the cast that they truly want. So it was, it was like, I know I'll look back on it as some of the best times of my life, and I always say that, like, if I never get to be on Broadway again, I actually feel like it will be okay, because I got to do Frozen, and because I got to play that part and be a part of that family and work with those people. And so that's kind of like a nice feeling to have, actually, like I just don't know what else,
Are they both you? We have a few more minutes. I just have to ask you about, you both do television and film. I mean, you've done Hallmark, Patti. I mean, the both of you got to work on the same television series, Chicago Med. This stuff doesn't happen. I mean, what was it like working together on television on a hit TV series?
It was great. It was Patti when Chicago Med first happened, and I, we knew that we were going to have to move to Chicago for a long stretch of the year, a long section of the year. Patti came right along, and then, the first time she appeared on the show, it was just exciting. We never actually...
No, we were in the same scenes sometimes, but we never interacted until my last episode on the show.
Yeah.
Which was actually really nice, because we worked on the same show, and with the same people, but we weren't spending 24 hours a day together, But we'd come home and be like, "Oh, work today," blah blah blah. And it was really nice the way they set it up. Hey.
Well, like I said, I know you have parent duty to do. Colin, you've had movies. You had a new movie this past summer, right? A movie just came out.
Yeah, it's called Almost Love, written and directed by our dear friend and an amazing actor himself, Mike Doyle. And it was it was so much fun. We filmed it a couple of summers ago, and it's now out on video on demand and Netflix. It's even on Netflix now, and it's really just a lovely love letter to New York and it's about a group of friends who are all in various relationships in their lives. And it's just a fun, light-hearted comedy with some really just wonderful performances. I mean, and performers as well. Kate Walsh, Michelle Buteau, Zoe Chow, Patricia Clarkson is in it. I mean, it was an awesome experience to film it, and I'm so glad that it's been well received since it's been released.
Yeah, it's a terrific film. I just want to mention for our fans that are watching around the world, if you want any kind of movies to watch during this holiday season, you got to look at Patti's Hallmark films. One is called Love on Iceland, the other is Holiday for Heroes, and Colin has another film called Every Secret Thing. I mean, with Diane Lane and Elizabeth Banks. All I do is watch movies. I watch all my friends from Broadway. I've been pulling all your stuff up, and it just, when I'm done, like, I have 2 hours to watch something. I'll watch a Patti movie. I'll watch a Colin movie. I'll watch.
I love it.
That's so great.
You know what I mean? I want to thank you both from the bottom of my heart for putting this together for today. I mean, you've got a big concert coming up on Sunday. You've got this incredible family you have together. Your beautiful daughter, your beautiful animals you have here. You were able to put this whole thing together in between rehearsals and feedings, and you rock her back and forth. You two get the multitasking award of the year. Seriously.
Thank you. We love you. We love talking to you.
Of course, Richie. Thank you.
You make it all seem so effortless during the whole new life you have here during a pandemic. This is you should have a reality series.
We like to keep the sense of humor alive. We find that that's the most important thing, is that if no one's hurt, it's fine. It's fine.
The candy draw is only a few feet away in the kitchen, and the Cheetos, right?
And the wine.
And the bar is even closer than the candy, honestly. Ooh. You should see behind the camera.
Yeah, a lot of liquor over there.
Next time we go out, I want to see where you'll have all these hidden stashes of everything.
Done.
Again, this Sunday night, November 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Patti Murin and Colin Donnell will be live, and then a one-time only rebroadcast on Monday, November 30th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing their virtual concert with Seth Rudetsky as part of his Seth Concert Series. The series is produced by Mark Cortali and is sponsored by Broadway World and StreamYard. Tickets are available at Broadway World Events and at thesethconcerts.com, or just Google Patti and Colin. It'll take you there. The tickets are only $28.50, and there's a special VIP sound check ticket. I'm going to get that ticket myself.
Yes.
Listen, I adore you all. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays. Like I said, I adore you too. I was there from the very beginning, when you all made your debuts. And like I said, I just love what's happened to your lives. Look at you. Look at the three of you, or I could say the five of you.
I know. It's a very full house over here.
For babies, yeah.
It's totally a full house. Listen, everybody, stay safe. Have a beautiful holiday. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Stay safe. And we'll see you all soon. And you two I'll see on Sunday.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so
Lots
much,
of
Richie.
love, Richie. Thank you so much.
Lots of love from me.